Are you looking for ways to make the writing process visual or easier? Well, if you are, I have a few tips to share with you today. My name is Kathleen, and I'm a dyslexic here to help other dyslexics. I help busy, overwhelmed parents understand their child's frustration with dyslexia so they can support, encourage, and empower them. There are so many moving pieces to writing. And that's one of the reasons it's so frustrating because you're having to generate ideas, write them down, worry about spelling, worrying about grammar, worrying about punctuation, worrying about capitalization, worrying about using the word too many times. The list goes on and on and on. So writing is super frustrating for a dyslexic. And one thing that I've learned from myself and working with other dyslexics is that it is much easier when you concentrate on one thing at a time. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to help your child concentrate or focus on one thing at a time as they move through the writing process. The first tip I have for you is to make a writing notebook. That's right. And I have a free graphic organizer to go along with that. So just grab a 3-ring binder. This is the one I have. And then print out the PDF or the PDF attached to this. It is free. Just go ahead and grab it. And I have gone ahead and differentiated this to make it easier for you. So what you do is you grab the PDF. I've already color coded mine, but the one you get is black and white. And then at the store, I want you to buy 5 dividers. And I really recommend getting the one with pockets because as the piece goes through the writing process, you can physically move it and they can see it move from one part to the next to the next. So that is why when I create these, I always have the pocket so you can put the piece in there. So I just put all of this together and I explain and teach to my child or student what exactly is going on. And so with this, I have 3 different versions. So if your child can read and they like just to read, then this version is for you. If they like to read, but then they like the pictures too, so kind of in the middle, then I have this version. And if they like just straight pictures, knowing what's going on, then I have this version. And the nice part is if you want, you can make this where they figure out what it is. So you would cut out whichever of these you choose, cut it out, then stick a little glue right here, and then stick it on top, and then cut in between each line so it becomes something that they can fold and see and just focus on one at a time. So with that, when you're generating ideas, you can create the graphic organizer, then shove it in the folder. And they're finished with that. They can come back, they can add more ideas to it, they can do what they need. Then once they're finished with the brainstorming piece, then they can look at this and they can realize that it's now time to write or draft. So they're going to go and do that piece. And so then once they're finished with that, they'll stick it in the gray pocket. Then once they're finished, they'll move on to revising, and they will revise their piece of work and they'll stick it in the green pocket. Then once they're finished with that, they will go to edit. And so they will edit the piece of work and they will stick it in the yellow pocket. And then once they're finished and they have their final draft, they're going to go ahead and stick it in the purple, and then that way they can see it finished. And what's really nice is when they have this, they can keep all of their finished work in the finished folder so they can see that it builds on itself all the time. So the second tip I have for you today is when they're doing this, to focus on just one thing at a time. So if they're brainstorming, just focus on brainstorming. And this could be using assistive technology. So if you could put the graphic organizer online, and then that way they could use speech to text assistive technology. That way they're not worried about spelling, they're not worried about other things. They're just worried about getting their ideas down on paper. In fact, if they did this, you could actually just open up a Word document and just let them speak out their ideas and organize it later. So they could just focus on getting those ideas down without worrying about the spelling. Because I know a lot of ideas are lost with dyslexics when they're worried about so many different things like reading or spelling or any of those things. So if they could just focus on the one piece, getting the ideas down, and using assistive technology is a great way to do that. When it comes to the writing piece, do the same thing. Let them write the piece out with assistive technology. Use the speech to text to their advantage, and it saves so much time. They're not worrying about spelling. They can actually get the pieces down. When it comes to revising, do the opposite. Do text to speech. So your child gets to sit down and listen to what they wrote and make sure that that is what they had in their head. So instead of them concentrating on decoding every single word, worrying about if they spelled it correctly or not, they're going to sit down and listen to it on the computer. I know that since I've started doing this, my editing time and fixing my own errors has definitely increased to where I don't have to be as dependent on an editor. So this is something I definitely recommend using. Another idea for editing is to go ahead and take the information and put it into a word prediction software. And so with this, it can kind of generate ideas, and they can take the words that they're using over and over and over again and use it differently. The only way this really works for me, it's frustrating, is if the word prediction software actually says the words so you can hear it. Because sometimes when they're predicting words, they look very, very similar, and you'll pick the wrong one if it's not read to you. And that way it changes the whole meaning of the sentence, and then nothing makes sense. When it comes to publishing, let them use assistive technology again. Let them speak their ideas out. Take everything that they have. If you need to print out what they have so they can look at it, or if they have it in their head, which most of the time they do, just let them speak it out again. Sometimes it is frustrating to use assistive technology, but it is much easier than the old-fashioned just sitting down and writing, because I know so many ideas were lost when it came to the writing piece, because I was always like, how do you spell that? Am I using that word right? Is that what it's going to be? Am I actually going to be able to remember this when it comes time to talk about it? Did I spell this right? I'm never going to remember this word. I'm not going to remember what I wrote. And so all of those things play into a factor. And that is one of the big reasons why dyslexics have such a hard time with reading, is because we are so worried about so many things that our dyslexia affects. And when we use assistive technology to our advantage, we are leveling the playing field, and we're making it easier, and we're getting our time back, because we're not spending as much time focused on things that are out of our control because of the way our brain processes information. I hope you found this useful. Make sure to grab the freebie so you can get the black and white copy of those to create this writing notebook for your child. And thank you so much. I'm so excited. I have some really exciting things coming up in the next few weeks. So go ahead and make sure you are subscribed. I am going to say this here, that my freebies that I have right now, the resource library, is going away. I have something really exciting and really fun coming out soon, which means the resource library is going to be discontinued and taken away. So if you haven't grabbed it and you want it, grab it now because I know in the next week or two it is going to be gone. I'm going to be taking all the links away for it and replacing it with something new. So go ahead and stay tuned for that because I can't wait to share it with you when it's ready. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye guys!